It's my brother. Benjamin, what's up?
Listen to me very carefully. It's gonna turn off and it will never turn back on.
What's gonna turn off?
Everything.
Ben?
Miles.
I've read that it's kind of, you both came to this show in kind of very different ways. There was almost a certainty for you, whereas for the Bass character, there was always kind of a doubt as to kind of, they weren't certain you could play him. So kind of, could you talk about how you both kind of came to the kind of parts and how they contrast?
Oh, interesting. Nothing's ever certain. I was doing a show in Vancouver called Once Upon a Time. I got a call about this particular show. I had two other shows that wanted me to join them as a regular, and I went in and actually read with the Vancouver casting director, who gave me all these notes about how to do the scene. I honored her wishes and did what I needed to do, and expected a call back that said you'd have to fly to LA and test. That's the nature of the business now. With J.J. Abrams, you never get a chance to read a whole script. You read a scene. You have to trust that his vision might be right for you. I got a call a few days later that said, we've already done all the pre-approvals and we're offering you the role. I was the first person cast, a great honor, a great privilege, and obviously I had to consider not only the team, the script, but also the concept of the show, and I said yes.
Well, for me, it was there was doubt, but in reading the pilot, if you've seen the pilot, there's only two very short scenes in which Bass features. So my question was, who is this guy? I mean, he's in a car, like having a laugh with his best mate, and then at the end, he's this kind of villainous leader of the militia. So I was like, okay, so what happened? There was 15 years there. So I spoke to Eric. He allayed a lot of my fears, but I think if there was any doubt, it's that kind of thing, like, well, how are we going to fill this backstory in? And but I thought at the kernel of or the thing that the foundation I grabbed onto was the fact that it started as brothers that were torn apart, and there's a very clear motivation as to what he's doing.
So I'm curious about it seems a very timely show, because in the narrative it's illegal to own firearms. The militia have basically taken control of them, and I know you've spoken in interviews about this. It's asking questions about society. The show is actually looking at maybe not just America, but outside of America. And like, what do you think it's actually saying? Because to me, it's definitely asking why the need for guns. But can we also trust, say, we aren't going to own guns, but we're going to trust governments, we're going to trust institutions to actually kind of be.
The show is begging the question, what if? The show is begging the question, who are you in this new world of revolution? Well, who are you in this world that we call America, or this world we call the UK right now? The gun is not bad. It's the hand that holds the gun that's bad. We had a lot of conversations among us as cast. Billy Burke and David and myself have really tried to think about what we're putting out there. And it's important that we all realize that there's something brilliant about this show in its topical nature, in the fact that it really is entertaining, number one, but it's also looking at the dysfunctional aspects of our environment that we live in. So we're all saying, hey, ban the guns. I agree. We shouldn't have a necessity for them. I love the old days where you put on some gloves, you fight it out, you're not dead, but you're pretty beat up, and the best man wins. But now we're in a world where we have all these organizations that support this, that, and the other, and say, we have a right to bear arms. And you do have a right to bear arms. How about me just bearing my own arms?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. In terms of, like, I don't think that there's a political stance in this show. I think to look for it is maybe to look too hard, but what it does do is start a dialogue, as Giancarlo said. It's certainly not left or right wing or anything like that. But I'm from Australia, so our gun laws are very fixed and very, it's very particular. So it's been interesting, kind of like hearing the dialogue that comes out of, or the discussion that comes from the show, because I come from a very different place.
I have been searching for you for a very long time.
What's this about?
I suppose this is your boy?
That's a great thing. Entertainment always has metaphor, it's always there. What I'm kind of curious about though is because I actually think the two characters are perfect together, because you're kind of two sides of the same coin. You're both kind of villains, but whilst it seems Bass is potentially never going to be able to redeem himself, it feels like Tom, there is a potential there, because he's such a thought-provoking character, the way he perceives everything, and so two sides of the same coin.
Well, both men are thinkers, and I would imagine they could be the flip side of the same coin. It's very, very possible. Tom is an observer. He does believe in God. He does believe in family, but he doesn't believe in doing what's right, and he has to think quickly on his feet. And when you have to do that, you have to really try to think about the whole and not just the one. Although he's accused by his son of thinking only about himself, of being a traitor, of doing all these things he has to do to what? Survive. But he also is looking for a world that's better and more complete. And a revolution does ask all these questions, and in terms of where are we going? You know, we're having oil problems, gas problems, political problems, unrest with old regimes taking over the new youthful people with new young visionaries who say, we want a voice in how we live our lives. We don't want to be dictated to anymore. We want a better world as well. And with the greed and the graft that exists in the world that we have now, something's got to give. Now, Eric Kripke is brilliant for taking all of that and handing it to us in this extremely revolutionary way.
Excuse the pun. It's the same question. Are we the same side? They're different sides of the same coin. There is. I mean, I always try to stop myself from making assumptions about someone else's character, but there is a beautiful rationality and a certainty about Tom and the way Giancarlo plays him. It's a man that does think and acts once thought. Whereas Sebastian, as it goes on, becomes increasingly more emotional and irrational. And so I think that there is that yin-yang sort of situation there. In terms of redemption, I don't know, if he can be redeemed. I'm not sure if redemption comes from within or if it comes from circumstance or action. But I don't think he ever believes he could himself. But there is potential. No, I don't know. Who knows?
Anyone can be redeemed, and I think that the interesting part of the way David plays this character is that he has this emotional breakdown over loss, which means he's wanting back something he had before. The guy has no friends. He just killed everybody. So you want to be able to go, wait a minute now. If he just had someone to talk to, he might be a better man.
So he just needs a hug.
That's all he needs. He needs a big hug. He's trying to do what he thinks is right, too. He's trying to do fulfill his vision as well, just as Tom is. But Tom has to go, well, who is going to follow? You want to trust someone that you're going to follow. You want to be so clear that they're clear because they're leading people either to their death or to new life. And so it's important for us not really to know because it creates an urgency between characters. And although we're all catalysts for each other in the knowledge and learning that we have in terms of what you see, it's always interesting to know that Tom Neville might have a moment where he could be redeemed and could become a benevolent leader and forgive all who've hurt him. And I would want to believe from watching David's beautiful performance that he believes that too. But ultimately, what I love is that you gotta keep them guessing.
Monroe thinks your dad knew something, and he thinks your dad told me. Why the lights went out.
What?